Hey guys, what's up? I'm Erin and welcome back to the channel. So I'm scrolling through some articles the other day and I came across one titled, "Here's How Much the Average 60-Year-Old Has in Retirement Savings." We don't even have to play games, you know I immediately clicked, and the first two sentences stopped me in my tracks. According to Empower Financial Services, the average retirement balance was $492,795 as of January 17th, 2025. This is a big number for sure, but it's likely not going to be enough to live comfortably in retirement. After that, the article quickly segued into just a whole bunch of links for hiring a financial advisor, for buying life insurance, and for investing in alternative investments. So ultimately, those were really the only two useful sentences in the entire thing. But here's why it made me pause. $492,000 is a pretty substantial number compared to what most people have saved for retirement. And yet, this article immediately frames it as not enough to live comfortably in retirement. Blanket statements like that, I tend to push back a little. So let's see if this is something that you could retire comfortably with. And let's also look if this is the actual data provided from Empower. And before we simply take Empower's data at face value, we should take a moment to pause to talk about who the typical user of this financial platform is. The typical Empower user is mid-career to pre-retirement, so age 35 to 65, often part of a dual-income, high-earning household, making $150,000 to $250,000 a year. Also, they are serious savers, tending to put away 15 to 20% of their income, often maxing out their retirement accounts and utilizing brokerage accounts to invest even more. And that $492,000 average retirement account balance, as reported in the article, is being said for 60-year-olds. Well, it turns out that that's actually for users across the entire platform. So all age groups, including younger generations who are still in the process of building up their wealth. It's also important to note that Empower has a substantial numbers of millionaires who are using their platform, so their averages do tend to get skewed up quite a bit. If we want to zero in on those in their 60s, the median account balance is actually closer to $600,000. Now compare that to the median investment account balance for an American in their 60s according to the Federal Reserve, and that balance is closer to $150,000. So it's important to consider this, so when we know we're looking at data from Empower, we know we're looking at high income earners, we're looking at financially savvy peeps, not just your typical American. If the median retirement savings for 60-year-olds is around $600,000, can you actually retire on that? Absolutely. In fact, the typical American has way less than this and still finds a way to retire. But let's be honest, you probably don't want to be the average American. So let's see what the best retirement we could build off this investment portfolio might look like. First, we want to consider how retirees actually spend. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the average annual spending for a retired household is about $58,000. But averages can be skewed by high spenders, so best estimates would put the target median at $42,000 all the way up to say $50,000. So let's split the difference. Let's call our target spending $46,000. Then we have to consider how much can we safely withdraw from our investment portfolio. Well, if we start with $600,000 in investments and assume a 5% annual rate of withdrawal, yes, Bill Bengen, the creator of the 4% rule, says we can go pretty darn close to 5%. That gives us $30,000 a year from investments. But that's only part of the puzzle. We also have to factor in Social Security. And the age at which you claim Social Security has a big impact on what your benefit will look like. If you claim early at the age of 62, you receive a reduced benefit, a benefit that would be 70% of what you otherwise would be entitled to at full retirement age. If you wait until full retirement age, you receive 100% of your entitled benefit. And if you delay claiming all the way up to the age of 70, your benefit grows to 24% larger than it otherwise would have been at full retirement age. So if we go off average figures for Social Security, At the age of 62, the average benefit is around $1,200 a month. It increases to nearly $1,800 a month at full retirement age and gets to about $2,200 a month as an average if claimed at the age of 70. So if you have a two-person household with investments of $600,000 and both individuals claiming Social Security at the age of 62, this would give you a household income of about $58,800 per year. If these individuals were to wait until full retirement age to claim Social Security benefits, they would have a household income closer to $73,000 a year. And if they waited all the way until the age of 70, they would have a household income of nearly $83,000 a year. All of these numbers seem incredibly realistic as far as being workable as a spending plan. And as a matter of fact, they get you beyond what the typical spending is for a typical retiree household. But I have to admit that one of the biggest requests that I've received lately is to do these figures and these examples for a one-person household. So let's do just that. Using the same exact Social Security figures for a single individual earning household, if this individual claims at the age of 62 with $600,000 in investments, they would have an income of about $44,400. If they waited until full retirement age to claim, their household income would be closer to $52,000. And finally, if they waited until the age of 70 to claim Social Security, their household income would be about $57,000 a year. There's a big difference between an individual household and a two-person household. Often a two-person household is going to have multiple income streams. Maybe they have multiple streams for Social Security or other income streams. And quite frankly, I say this all the time, but life tends to get more affordable when you share it with someone else. You have multiple income streams and you have shared expenses. This significantly brings down the cost of life. But here's the good news. Even as a single retiree with the median data as reported by Empower, you can still have a household spending that keeps you on par with the typical retiree household. That's pretty good news. A lot of people picture retirement as a hard stop on working, but that's not always the case. For some, retirement means leaving a traditional 9-to-5 job, but it doesn't mean stepping away from a paycheck altogether. Maybe they continue doing freelance work, consulting, or have a part-time job. For others, maybe they do stop working entirely. But just because you stop working doesn't mean that all your income streams have ceased. Some people have pensions, other people have rental income or interest or dividend income. Everyone's situation is different, and you need to plan your retirement based on what your goals and your lifestyle are. 79% of retirees have one or more sources of income beyond Social Security. 56% of retirees receive income from traditional pension plans. 42% benefit from interest, dividend, or rental income. And 32% continue to earn through wages, salaries, or self-employment. Alternative income sources are really important to consider because they go a long way towards the sustainability of a retirement plan. Maybe we have someone who has this median account balance of $600,000 in investments when they go into retirement. But let's also assume that they have a pension, maybe $800 a month. And we'll also assume that they do some part-time work just because they want to actively stay engaged with their community. And let's say through this part-time work, they generate another $1,000 per month. Well, let's go back to our single earning household, and we'll assume they claim Social Security at full retirement age of 67, and that they have an income need of $50,000 a year. Between Social Security, a pension, and employment, this individual would be bringing in $3,600 a month, just over $43,000 a year. This would leave them with a shortfall of just $6,800 for the year, and with an investment portfolio of $600,000, they would have a withdrawal rate of just over 1%. This portfolio would essentially last forever. Even when they eventually do decide to stop their part-time work, they could certainly ramp up their rate of withdrawal in their portfolio without any sort of fear of depletion, simply because now the portfolio has less years that it has to sustain them. Retirement isn't a one-size-fits-all approach. It's possible at a wide variety of income levels and net worth levels. So often it's reported that you have to have $1 million in order to have a successful retirement. But the fact of the matter is, the vast majority of retirees do not have $1 million in investments. And the fact of the matter is also that the vast majority of retirees are happy in retirement. A 2024 survey found that 75% of retirees say they're happier in retirement than they were while working. How much you need to fund your retirement depends on your personal expenses and the lifestyle you want. If you have multiple income streams, you might only need a very modest portfolio to have a successful retirement. However, if you have a more lavish lifestyle planned and you don't have any guaranteed income streams, well, then you're going to need a more robust portfolio. But make sure to base it on your situation. What's really interesting is that 78% of retirees with $500,000 or more in assets and in excellent to very good health report being very satisfied with their retirement. This tells me that while money is important, it's certainly not the only factor. Financial security, good health, and personal fulfillment all go in together to making retirement happy and successful. That's why I stay away from blanket statements when it comes to retirement, because it is so personal. Yes, saving and investing matter, but at the end of the day, only you get to define what retirement success looks like for you. So I'd love to hear your thoughts. Do you have a target savings goal or a target net worth that you're planning on hitting by the time you get to retirement? Are you planning on doing some sort of part-time work once you enter into retirement? Share your thoughts in a comment down below. I post new videos every single week. If you got anything at all out of this one, please give it a like. If you're new here, please consider subscribing, or if you know of someone who might get something out of this type of content, please consider sharing. I'll see you soon. Bye. Only two. I have a dog for sale. Is anybody interested? After. Peanut, stop it. Just this constant low grumble in the background about who is actually the typical user. That's what I want to say. The financial services platform of this, I need to say this. User of this financial users platform. Financial services platform. We will get it. We're going to keep going, but we're going to get it. Are pretty high because Empower does have a substantial number. I think that was awful. I'm so sorry. Matter is, I said the fact of the matter twice. Let's not do that. I repeated it, but I don't know if I want to fix it. We're going to call it good and keep rolling.